Welcome to a brand new episode of Democratic Newsroom here on India Today, our weekly show where we pick up one or two big topics and kick them around the Democratic Newsroom. Now, it would be an absolutely grave act of omission if after that amazing IPL final, we didn't dedicate this latest episode to who else but MS Dhoni. The newsroom has been buzzing with questions about him. Is he the greatest ever? Should the IPL trophy be named after him? Is he going to retire? Why is he being so cryptic? What role will he play if he does retire? All of those questions, but we have to start with that one question that so many people are asking, and it's a subjective question, which is what makes it so beautiful here on the Democratic Newsroom. I'm joined by Rajdeep Sardesai, Nikhil Das, Vikrant Gupta, my colleagues here on this episode. So let's start with you, Rajdeep. Is MS Dhoni the greatest ever? Lots of hyperbole will be, in the air after that amazing nail-biting final. But everyone's talking about Dhoni right now.
No, is the question that he's the greatest ever Indian player, the greatest ever IPL player, greatest leader? What is
IPL player.
I think he's had the most impact on the IPL and on white ball cricket than any other Indian cricketer. If you look at his career, it's ironic that the IPL really took off after Dhoni lifted the World 2007 T20. He made T20 in a way the sort of magnificent entertainment that it's become today. And therefore, I think he will always be identified as the T20 revolutionary and a remarkable leader. I haven't seen a better white ball cricket leader. So I think when you put all of that together, only in the context of white ball and T20 cricket and the IPL, Dhoni is right up there. I mean, the calmness that he exudes, the confidence, and to do it, 41, 42, most people by now should be, just relaxing in the Bahamas at this age.
One of the all-time greats in the IPL, primarily because of his leadership.
Yeah.
You look at his performances with the bat, they've not been great. Even in this IPL, he's not scored too many runs. He's not been scoring runs, but he's been winning games as captain. And I think his leadership has always been very irreverent. Ever since he became India's captain, people would say there are captains and there are leaders, and there is Dhoni. For Chennai Super Kings, it's actually a roller coaster. They'd be 10th one year and they'll win the next year.
Yeah.
So this kind of jump is not possible and doesn't change the players much. So he doesn't say, okay, we go to the auction, let's have 8 new players. He'll stick with the same players, maybe pick 1 or 2 and make them into champions. And I think what he's done, Shiv, is that there are 2 kinds of leaders. One who does it himself, who shows the world how it is done. I will go, I will lead, I'll tell you. He knows he can't do it now. And then he brings the best out of you. So he says, look, I'm the captain, I'm the leader. Maybe I cannot do it, but I'll teach you how to do it. I'll back you. I think this side of his leadership is also a management skill.
Yeah, absolutely. Nikhil, you've taken it a step further. You've said, why not, name an IPL trophy after, Dhoni, the Dhoni Cup.
Yeah, well, that's a suggestion. Maybe we can all vote for it. We have the Ranji Trophy.
Yeah.
We have the Duleep Trophy. We have the Syed Mushtaq Ali Trophy, all named after legends of Indian cricket. Why not have the IPL trophy as the MS Dhoni Trophy? Right now, it doesn't have a name. We have a Border Gavaskar Trophy.
He needs to retire before that.
Yeah, well, so name it maybe in a season or 2.
Yeah.
He said at least 1 season. And I say that because I think IPL is synonymous with MS Dhoni. I think there has been no bigger brand for IPL than MS Dhoni. Also, luckily for him, his best years coincided with the advent of the T20 cricket as well as the league. Now, if you take a look at just cold numbers, his numbers won't add up. I'm going to name a few players like Pollard, AB de Villiers, Virat Kohli, which will have better numbers. But then I'm going to compare him to someone like Diego Maradona. Maradona will not have the best numbers in football. He's not scored the most goals. He doesn't have the most assists. Why was he considered the greatest of all time? Because he was a great leader. He has a charismatic personality. People would be attracted to him, and he would take his team to victory. I think that's what MS Dhoni does, which is why for me also.
You talked about retirement, and we can only talk about a Dhoni Cup once he retires. I just want to quote what Dhoni said yesterday. The post-match, he said, "This is the best time to announce my retirement, but the amount of love I have received all over, the easy thing would be to walk away from here. But the harder thing would be working hard for 9 months and try to play another IPL. It would be a gift from me, won't be easy on the body. Rajdeep, how do you interpret that? Typically cryptic, the retirement of Dhoni has been in the air for, years together now. Another cryptic comment from him post-match.
Mahendra Singh, that's what makes Mahendra Singh Dhoni who he is. He doesn't play by rules set by others. When he got married also, we suddenly came to know about Dhoni's getting married. No pictures were being given in this age of page 3. Celebrities stays away from the, arc lights when it suits him. He decides when he's going to be in the arc lights. He decides when he's going to move away. Even when he retired from Test cricket, which I thought was, a little odd, because in the middle of a tour, you shouldn't have retired. Look, Dhoni's not done everything right all the time. We have every right to also question some of his moves. One of them was the manner in which he retired from Test cricket. The team wasn't doing so well. You're the captain of the team, you're the leader, and suddenly you withdraw. Not ideal. But he is the most unconventional cricketer in a sense. And I was very privileged to do a long conversation with him for my book, and I really saw that once he had decided, "Main karunga," he sort of switched off the hotel, whatever, the receiver took it off the hook, gave me 1 hour and just spoke. But it is on his terms. He decided when I had been chasing him for 6 months to get that 1 hour. Mahendra Singh Dhoni is sui generis. He's done, even right from the time when he came into cricket with that long hair and, refusing to tie it down to the kind of shots he's played, the helicopter shot. He's just lived cricket on his own terms, not on the terms set by anyone else. And maybe he will retire also on his own terms. Suddenly, maybe 3 months from now, most unexpectedly at 9 o'clock, Vikrant and Nikhil will do breaking news. Mahendra Singh Dhoni.
You guys have spoken to him so many times. What's the sense that you get?
I think he'll play the next season.
But it may not be on his own terms, and that's where I disagree with Rajdeep, because he wants to play another season. I met him just before this IPL season started. I made that trip to Ranchi, spent some time with him, spoke to him. This is exactly what he said. He said, "This is not my last season," as people are saying. "I want to play another season." Yesterday also he says, and I think the operative word was, "I want to play at least a season." He may be eyeing 2, but then if his body permits. We saw throughout this IPL he had a knee issue. He was hobbling, wasn't taking those quick doubles that we see him do. So we believe now he's going to be undergoing some sort of treatment. Now, if he feels that his body is up to it, he's definitely going to play the next season. But as I said, not on his own terms. In fact, if he realizes that he's not good enough, he may not. The only silver lining there is that you've made a change in the rule, whereby now you have an impact player. So he could be that player who's just the captain, who's a great wicket keeper, doesn't really necessarily have to be the match-winning batsman that he was, and yet can be part of winning teams. So that allows him that luxury to maybe play a
And I think when he decided to leave Test cricket the way he did, in the middle of a difficult tour, the end of the 3rd Test match, while the 4th one was still to be played, I think he had his reasons. Maybe the dressing room was drifting away from him. Maybe they were going towards a younger captain. And I felt that after that, maybe he held on to the one-day and T20 captaincy a bit. Maybe he should have left it a year earlier. He shouldn't have gone on and on after the T20 World Cup in 2016. But now, once he decides that he can't play, it, like Nikhil said, it not be his decision alone. He will also, as he said yesterday, have to look at the fans, their expectations. And I think for the first time in my life, in the last 15, 17 years that we've seen Dhoni, finally, when I looked at him yesterday, and I thought he is human. He was emotional. He was not willing to watch the last 2 balls. He was praying, and then for him to be so excited, to give that jhappi to Jadeja, and to have a couple of tears in his eyes. This was actually for the first time he was human, and his post-match, first time ever. He reportedly shed a tear when he, so goes the story, even after the 2011 World Cup. He claimed to me that, but he didn't do it in public. He's a very private person, right? So, I mean, someone like that, you never know, when he will do what. He's very, very difficult to fathom sometimes. Because you never know with Mahendra Singh.
You spent an hour with him. Phone was off the hook. No disturbances. 100% unadulterated Dhoni. Did you see a human there, or was he all, the usual reticence there as well?
No, he was, that's the thing. Once he sets his mind and he wants to talk, he spoke. And I'll never forget the story. The question I had asked him, how do you handle pressure of the last over, 15 runs to get? More often than not, you sort of seem to be on top of the bowler. And he said two things. One, he said, look, you think I'm under pressure, don't forget the bowler's under pressure, he's bowling to Mahendra Singh Dhoni.
Yeah.
And he said it without, the sort of, without a sense of arrogance.
Not bragging.
He was just saying it as he saw it. And then said that, look, once you've been a ticket conductor at Kharagpur station and all the Bengalis are coming in the train from Kolkata, that's real pressure in life. Ensuring that no one travels ticketless. So, the human angle. So,
yeah.
But you have to break the wall around Mahendra Singh Dhoni to get him to talk like that. And, he is, I think, Shiv, I think he's had the max, I don't know whether Vikrant and Nikhil will agree, I think he's had the maximum impact in many ways on Indian cricket in the last 25, 30 years. I thought Kapil Dev had it when I was growing up in the game in the 80s, and then Dhoni. I know Virat is a great cricketer, and in many ways
You missed a Sachin Tendulkar.
And Sachin, Gavaskar and Virat are, legends of the game. So is Dhoni and so is Kapil Dev. But I think their impact in terms of what they did beyond the boundary to inspire people outside the big cities. All these three people, Gavaskar, Tendulkar, Kohli, come from the big cities, Delhi, Mumbai. Dhoni comes from Ranchi, Kapil Dev comes from Chandigarh. Vikrant will object if I say it's a small town.
It used to be when he
was
yes,
there. And you see, that's what has changed in Indian cricket. The biggest transformation in Indian cricket is just the number of kids who are coming in from these small towns. Rinku Singh, Jaiswal of course has moved to Mumbai, but they all come with a dream. I think, yeah, Dhoni has done it, maybe that's my view.
And he wasn't your conventional cricketer to begin with.
Yeah.
I mean, the selectors had to struggle and to really ponder over a year to get him into the test side. He started playing ODIs in 2004, and 2005 December was the first time he was made to play test cricket. And the selectors felt, he'll not be good enough, maybe he's batting, maybe he's wicket keeping, and then he became a captain.
Yeah.
So, I think because he wasn't your conventional cricketer, his thought process also was different. So he would think differently. That is why, Shiv, when I use the word irreverence, I think it was true for the first part of his captaincy as an India captain. You had captains who would take decisions, but Dhoni was different. For him at that stage to decide, okay, Rahul Dravid and Saurav Ganguly are not needed in my one-day team. That was a bold step. I mean, Saurav Ganguly, Rahul Dravid did not like it, but the fact is he took that step. And I still remember we went to Australia a year after the World Cup. So we won in 2011, and 12 we were in Australia. Barely a year after India had won the World Cup, he started benching either Sehwag or Gambhir, and Tendulkar could also feel the pressure. He said, "मैं इन तीनों को एक साथ नहीं खिला सकता. Only two can play." So I was at a press conference where I asked him. He said, because they can't throw. We're going to play a World Cup in Australia in 3 years' time, in 15, and they're slow movers on the field. They can't throw. So I said, but how about their skill? As in their batting or bowling? He said, fielding is a greater skill than your batting or bowling. And then the next game, he sat out. Sehwag held that catch. He was leading the team. And I asked Sehwag, Dhoni said you were being benched because you were fielding. He said, usne mera catch dekha. So he took that decision. And Sehwag, Gambhir were also out of the Indian team. People may or may not like it. I mean, you look at the former players, those who played with him were part of the team that won the World Cup. They do not necessarily like him. They would not necessarily like him because they, at that stage, felt aggrieved. And there are a few who still feel, yaar, humme to khatam kar diya, he's still playing. But the fact is that he's been able to motivate himself.
Right.
He knows now that as a batsman, maybe he cannot contribute, but he'll get the contribution out of you. That's his leadership.
Okay, the management style. Yeah.
And
on the point of impact, like that Rajdeep was saying, do you agree with that?
I mean, in terms of impact on the sport of T20 cricket, white ball cricket, yes. But I think, I'll tell you what really coincided with the MS Dhoni is the timing of our cricket. For the longest time, you had to be an outstanding test player to be counted amongst the greats. Take MS Dhoni back to the 70s. I mean, a Rishabh Pant today arguably has had a bigger impact in test cricket than an MS Dhoni as a wicketkeeper batsman.
In the small little
in a
time
small
that he's
little
played.
career that
Yeah.
he's had. But the thing is, the way we look at cricket has changed. We are ready to accept a white ball great as the greatest of all time. We wouldn't have done it a few years ago.
So who
Sachin
says
Tendulkar-
greatest of all time? You're using this word greatest of
No,
all
no,
time.
I'm saying
Yeah,
he's
you're
in-
using the word
no,
greatest of all
no,
time. He's not the greatest
no,
of all
I'm
time.
not saying that, but he's in the debate today, Rajdeep. You could debate because nobody, the current generation would not mind a player not being great in test cricket and still be part of that debate. I'm saying go back a few years. You wouldn't even allow someone who's not good in test cricket to even be part of that
Yeah,
debate.
but he would
It's
be
how
part
we
of
look
he
at
would be
cricket.
part of my debate in an All India all-time best team. I know you've
No,
told
he'll be
me-
the captain.
No,
He
will
will be
definitely.
the captain in your
Yes,
ODI.
red ball.
No, but that's only because he's a wicket keeper, right?
That's his,
yeah. Yeah.
he's a terrific stumper. Sometimes, we ignore the fact that he's such a good wicket keeper
Yeah.
because a good wicket keeper is unobtrusive. So he rarely misses a stumping. I don't recall when I've seen Dhoni miss
Yeah.
a stumping. Maybe, the occasional catch may have gone down. But I think the one negative, which sometimes that dark spot, is the manner when that Mayappan episode took place in Chennai Super Kings and accusations of spot fixing around the sort of support staff of CSK. Dhoni should have come out strongly, clearly where he stood, rather than appearing defensive and almost defending the franchise. They paid a price for it. They were 2 years out of the game. I think that's the one element where Mahendra Singh...
Blemish.
Yeah, I think it's a bit of a blemish, particularly given the fact that the IPL in the rear, he's brand IPL. So I think it hit brand IPL, it hit brand Dhoni. But, look at the love of the fans. And that's the question. Is he loved by the fans? A bit like Sachin is. I think I think Sachin Tendulkar and MS Dhoni, purely in terms of fandom and love, are the two top.
Yes, speaking
Just the love that fans have.
That's primarily because these are the two that cut across demographics, that cut across age group, that cut across everything that is there.
That's right.
That everyone will love
Finding-
you, right?
you know,
Your
finding
grandmother,
a-
your
If they've been
grandfather.
social
My mother said last night, my mother rang me when it started raining and she said, I'm going to sleep. She said, just pray that CSK wins. I said, why you so? She said, no, I want Dhoni to win.
No,
So
that's-
there's a and she's 80.
No,
the
finding a
social
home
media-
ground support for the rival team. I mean,
Yeah.
almost
No, Virat
half,
had the same
almost
thing.
half were in yellow jerseys yesterday.
Virat had the same thing. We
incredible.
traveled to Mohali for
Virat also had
a
it.
Yeah.
Bangalore Punjab game, and the Sardars there, they were dancing.
They were wearing
and
the
Punjab
Bangalore
cricket was
jersey.
on.
Yeah, the Bangalore jersey.
But I think coming back to the debate between Tendulkar and Dhoni, I think if the social media had been as active now,
Back
in the
then.
times of Sunil Gavaskar and Kapil Dev, they were no less stars. They would have been.
Like no less star, but
I mean, the cricket
No,
fanatics.
but the only thing where I'm differing, you see,
The audiences have grown
No, I
because
agree.
of the social media.
No, I agree, Tiger, but the fact is when you watch a Sachin play or you watch a Gavaskar or Kapil Dev, Gavaskar in particular, he was stoic, determined. There was a way he played the game, which meant that if I'm a 6-year-old, I might not sort of, want to travel 200 kilometers necessary to watch Gavaskar. When I'm a connoisseur of the game, I will. But with Dhoni, a 6-year-old and a 70-year-old. With Sachin, a 6-year-old and a 70-year-old. You want to hold them. You feel somehow that they are human.
And Kapil Dev?
Kapil Dev's na jawab nahi in many ways. As a revolutionary. When Kapil Dev first came, it was like, the way he played, the gay abandon, it was enormously attractive. I agree with you. Maybe social media would have changed, made
Maybe
Kapil...
the IPL, like Nikhil said.
100%.
If
Kapil
he
Dev,
would-
IPL, I mean, rock star.
Yeah.
I mean, you wouldn't have had a bigger star than he would. With these size boundaries, he'd have been hitting 10, 12 sixes a game. Yeah?
With the bats.
And
as
with the
well.
bats that they have today.
He had that thin bat which I've seen, and he could tonk it in that Tunbridge Well innings, that 175 he got with that thin blade.
Yeah, yeah.
Imagine if he got the blade that these players play with. The ball was anyway travelling outside the stadium at that time. Imagine what he could have.
That's actually one thing. When we say greatest ever, you've got to think that there was a world that existed before 2008, before the IPL, and there were lots
Yeah.
of cricketers with the kind of bats that they have today. Salim Durrani in his generation, C.K. Naidu right at the start,
Farooq
India's first
Engineer.
cricket superstar, Farooq Engineer, all of these sort of flamboyant players, they would have been rock stars in the IPL. Yeah, they would have really set the IPL. Kapil, really, now that Vikrant is even, I'm just imagining Kapil
Kapil
Dev,
in IPL.
Yeah, he would have ensured that Punjab or Delhi would have won the IPL at least once. Whoever he played
that
for.
is
multiple
if Delhi
number
or
of times.
Punjab
Multiple
picked them.
number of times.
That is if Delhi or Punjab picked them. Virat Kohli, they had a chance Delhi to pick him up.
Yeah.
They let him go and picked a bowler called Pradeep Sangwan. Bangalore
still
got
playing,
Bangalore got Virat Kohli.
But do we agree that Kapil
Just
is
as
probably
they
the
say.
greatest player not to have played IPL? The
Indian.
greatest Indian player
Indian.
potentially.
Indian player?
Indian player. Potentially not to have played
Kapil
the
Dev.
IPL.
Yeah.
Kapil Dev.
Couple there.
Greatest international
I
player.
mean, the greatest
Viv
would have been
Richards.
Viv.
Greatest Viv Richards, yeah. I mean, Viv Richards, between Viv Richards...
But
Kapil-
we're only, yeah, okay, but since we're only talking about Dhoni right now, we have to wrap it up. We'll have many more democratic newsrooms where we talk about the others. We've tried to answer some of the questions about greatest of all time. We haven't reached a consensus because khel abhi baki hai. There is much more to happen. Nikhil has confirmed to us at least 1 or 2 more seasons.
Yeah.
So I am getting the feeling that we're going to be talking about Dhoni for a long time to come, at least for the foreseeable future. Rajdeep, Nikhil and Vikrant, pleasure. Thanks very much for this. We hope Dhoni watches this episode of Democratic Newsroom as well. Thanks so much. See you next week.